Hello, we are on our third spiral, and we are talking about writing and graphing systems. Okay, so the first one is a system of equations because I have equal signs. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is make sure that they are in the form that we can actually graph them. So y equals mx plus b. So I have y equals something all by itself over here already, so I can actually just graph this one. I'm going to do this one in this color. Okay, and how I graph them is I'm going to cover the slope because the slope tells me how to move. And then down here it says y equals -3. So that is your b, or your y-intercept, or where you begin. So I'm going to begin at -3. So I'm going to have a point at -3. And then my slope tells me how to move. So I have 2 over 1. I'm a +2 over a +1. So I'm going to up 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Okay? And then I'm just going to connect these points. Sorry, I've got to get a little ruler here. And there we are. There is that line. And of course, I'm going to name it. So y equals 2x minus 3. Second line I have, notice it's different formatting, okay? I don't have y all by itself, so that means that I have to get y all by itself. So I'm going to solve it down here. Alrighty, and the first thing I want to do is I'm trying to solve for y. So I'm going to cover y, and in front of the x, I don't see a plus or a minus, so that just means it's plus. So I need to move it over. So minus x on both sides. Okay, this goes away. The 3y is going to come down, and I get 12 minus x on this side. All right, y is not yet by itself. I have 3 times y, and to undo times or multiplication, I do division. So I'm going to divide each piece by 3, okay? You got to do it to all of them. So what am I left with? 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so I'm left with y. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then over here, remember that we still have a 1 in front of that x, or else it wouldn't be there. A 0 we wouldn't have there, okay? So this is actually my equation. So now I'm in y equals something all by itself. I can graph it. So I'm going to cover my slope, or the x portion, and it says y equals 4. Okay, so y equals +4. And my slope here, it carries that sign. So I'm going to put the sign on the top, and it's going to be down 1, but the bottom is positive. So down 1 to the right 3. So down 1 to the right 3. Down 1 to the right 3. Down 1 to the right 3. Okay. Alrighty, so this is this line. I will name it. So this was x plus 3y equals 12. Alrighty. And let's just be safe and say, what is the solution to this system? If we recall, the solution is where these two intersected. So let's just write down here, we'll just put a point there and we'll write solution. And the ordered pair is 3, 3. Okay, so a solution to a system is where they cross. Alrighty, so now let's look at this one. This one's a little different. This is systems of inequalities. So notice I have equal signs here and inequality symbols here. Okay, little different of a technique. So let's graph this one in this color, in this orange. Alrighty, and I'm going to graph this first. So first thing I have to do is see if it's in standard form, aka y equals mx plus b. Yes, it is, because y is all by itself over here. I'm going to cover the slope, and I'm going to say start at y is 3. Okay, so my y-intercept is 3. And now the slope is going to tell me how to move. So remember that there isn't anything in front of this x, so that means that there's a 1. And it's a 1 over 1, so I go up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1. Alrighty, now with inequalities, this one was a little different because remember we have these two signs, okay? And This equal to means that everything along this line is included in the solution. So we have a solid line on my graph because I have a solid line here, okay? Okay. And then the second part of graphing inequalities is the shading, right? Because we talked about this a bunch of times in class where if I asked you, is 4 the only number in the world that is bigger than 0? And you say, no, there's a whole bunch of numbers bigger than 0. Well, that's what's happening here. So there's a whole bunch of numbers for x's and y's that will make this inequality true or a solution. So where is those answers? It's where y is greater than this line. So here is this line, and y is greater than is all of these numbers ordered pairs up here. Alrighty. Second one, I'll do in purple. Standard form, y less than or equal to, yep, mx plus b. I'm good to go. So I cover my slope, and it says start at y is 6. So here's y is 6. So that's my y-intercept. Now I'm going to tackle my slope. I'm going to put the negative on the 1. So this is actually going to be negative 1 over positive 2. So I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2, because remember that this one is positive at the bottom if the top one is negative. Alrighty, this is my line. Now I have to decide if I'm dotted or solid. So notice here, there's no solid line here, so this one is one of those dotted lines. Okay. I should have labeled the other one, but that's okay. I'll label this one. So now what I have to do is shade, okay? So this says all the solutions to all the xy coordinate pairs that make this a solution, the y value is less than this equation. So less than means lower or down, okay? All right, so what is your solution set then? Your solution set for inequalities is where these crosshatch, hashtag solution, okay? There you go. So if it ever asked you for a point in the solution set, you choose anything in the middle here. Stay away from the lines, okay? So anything in the middle, I would choose something just like that, somewhere right in the center, okay? All righty. Uh-oh, that S came right through. So let's talk about writing these things. Oh, 1 second. Okay, sorry, I am back. Okay, so next question. Sadie runs a small farm stand that sells bananas and grapes. Yesterday, Sadie sold 13 pounds of bananas and 15 pounds of grapes for a total revenue of $55.50. Okay. And today she sold 46 bananas and 16 pounds of grapes for a total revenue of $131.50. Write a system of equations that could be used to determine the price of each pound of bananas. Okay, so this is simply asking us to write a system of equations. So anytime you're a system of equations, that means you're going to have equal signs for your expressions, okay? So we just have to stay consistent. We're going to talk about yesterday, and then we're going to talk about today. So yesterday, okay, Sadie sold 13 pounds of bananas and 15 pounds of grapes for total $55.50. And today she sold 46 pounds of bananas and 16 pounds of grapes for $131.50. Okay, well, there are our equations. So yesterday, it says define your variables. So I'm going to say let B equal banana and G equal grapes. Okay, so yesterday, how many pounds of bananas did she sell? She had 13 pounds of bananas, and, which means to add, 15 pounds of grapes, and she made a total of $55.50. Today, she sold 46 pounds of bananas and 16 pounds of grapes for a total of $131.50. Okie dokie. There is your system. That's it. We don't have to solve it because it didn't say to solve it. We just want to write it. Alrighty, so we're going to write and graph now. Okay, so first I have to determine what I'm going to be writing. So Emily is blocking off several rooms in a hotel for guests coming to her wedding. The hotel can reserve small rooms that can hold 2 people. Okay, so I'm going to have small rooms that can hold 2 people and large rooms that can hold 3 people. Alrighty, so Emily booked a total of 15 rooms, which can accommodate 36 guests altogether. Okay. Alrighty, so what I want to do here is graphically solve a system of equations. So that means I'm going to have equal signs in order to determine the number of small rooms reserved, X, and large rooms reserved, Y. So X is going to equal our small rooms, and Y is going to equal our large rooms. Okay. Well, this one's a little different here because notice big deal with systems is we're going to have to stay consistent, alrighty? So I have small rooms and large rooms. So I have small rooms and large rooms. And notice how these are talking about rooms. So we're going to pair this with how many rooms I have. So I have small rooms and large rooms, and I only have 15 of those small and large rooms. Okay, so I have small rooms and large rooms. Okay, and now all I'm going to talk about are the amount of people that I have. Okay, so the small rooms can hold 2 people. So 2 people per 1 small room and 3 people per 1 large room. And I can have 36 guests. Okay, so now all I have to do is solve this. And solving this is just like what we did here, the first example. First thing I'm going to do is make sure I'm in y equals form all by itself. So here I have x plus y equals 15. Y is not by itself. So the first thing, I'm going to move x. In front of it is a plus sign. So to move it to the other side, I have to use the opposite operation. So minus x, I get y equals 15 minus x. Okay, cover my slope, and it says, hey, start at 15. So here is 15 on the y-axis. And remember that in front of the x, I actually have a 1. So I'm going to be down 1 to the right 1. So down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. Alrighty. So here is my line. Okay. So this is x plus y equals 15. Now the next one I have to solve is this one. So I have 2x plus 3y equals 36. I have to get y by itself. So the first thing I notice is that there's no sign in front of the 2x, so that means it's a plus. To move it to the opposite side of the equal sign, I have to use the opposite operation. Okay. And then this cancels. The 3y comes down, and I get 36 minus 2x over here. Next thing I get to do is undo that 3. 3 is being multiplied by y. To undo multiplication, I divide. Alrighty. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm just left with y. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And then over here, I can't simplify this down anymore, so I get 2/3 x. Okay. This is my slope. That means that this is my y-intercept. So it says start at y equals 12. Okay. And my slope, I'm going to leave the minus on the top. So that means the bottom one is positive. So I'm going to go down 2 to the right 3. So down 1, down 2 to the right 3. Down 1, down 2 to the right 3. Down 1, down 2 to the right 3. Okay. And I'm just going to draw this line here. Oopsies, I kind of missed that one. That's okay. And this is 2x plus 3y equals 36. And just like we talked about, what is the solution to this system? It's where these two things cross, okay? So graphically solve. So X, remember, were small rooms. So how many small rooms can she have? What is this ordered pair? This is 7, 8, where X is the small rooms. So she can have 7 small rooms. 7 small, and the Y were the large rooms, right? So X is small, Y is large. So I have 8 large rooms. There's your solution. All right, I believe that this is our last one here. And this one is the same idea. We're just solving inequalities. So inequalities is the same thing as solving equations, but you just have to use these two things. All righty, I'm going to get rid of this portion right here, and we're just going to write them over here. So I have the drama club is selling tickets to their play to raise money for the show's expenses. Each student ticket sells for $5 and each adult ticket for $10. The auditorium can hold a maximum of 110 people. The drama club must make a minimum of $700 for sales to cover the show's costs. If X represents the number of student tickets and Y represents the number of adult tickets, write and solve a system of inequalities. Okay, so it tells us what to set up, inequalities, graphically, and determine one possible solution. So we're going to remain consistent, okay? I'm going to circle the money here. So I have $5, $10, $700. So all of those things are going to go together. Money with money with money. I have student tickets and adult tickets, and I have a maximum of 110 tickets I can sell. Okay, so notice I have money with money, and then what actually gives us this money. So the first thing I'm going to do is X is student and Y is adult. Okay, so $5. The first thing I'm going to start with is my money equation. So I have $5 for student tickets. Students are X. Plus $10 for adult tickets, which is Y. Okay. Well, if you had the option, would you want to sell more? Of course you want to sell more. So this will be greater than or equal to, because you'd be satisfied with just the regular 700 too. Okay. Now let's talk about the quantities. Okay, so I would just have, I'm selling student tickets and I'm selling adult tickets, a maximum of 110 people. That means that at most I can have 110 people in the auditorium. I don't want more than that because then people would have to stand and that would be uncomfortable. Okay, alrighty. So I'm going to label my axes here. So this would be student on the x-axis, and this would be adult on the y. Just so we know. And I'm just going to solve. So now I'm not in the form where I can plot because y isn't by itself. So let's solve it. Okay, cover y, because I'm trying to solve for it. So it's the last thing I want to touch. In front of the 5x, I don't see a sign. So that means it's a positive 5x. And to move the positive 5x to the opposite side, I have to subtract. Alrighty, so I get 5x minus 5x, which leaves me 0. Down comes 10y, and 10y has to be greater than or equal to 700 minus 5x. Okay, I'm going to divide each by 10 to get that y all by itself. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. All right, 700 divided by 10 is 70. Okay, minus, okay, well, how many times does 5 go into 5? 1 time. And how many times does 5 go into 10? 2 times. Okay, so now I can plot this thing. I'm going to cover my slope and start at 70 on the y-axis. So y is 70. Here it is. That's my y-intercept. This is my slope. My slope tells me to go down and down 1, I'm going to put the negative on the top, so down 1, and then plus 2. So down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Okay, so now I have to determine my line type. Solid line here, solid line on your graph. That's how it goes. Okay, and now all I have to do is label it. And shade. So this one says y is greater than 700. Okay, y is greater than or equal to 70 minus 1 over 2x, right? So greater than means it's all of this stuff up here, because all of this is greater than that line. Gross. Okay, now all I have to do is plot this guy right here, and of course, not in the form where I can, because y is not by itself. So I'm going to cover y, and in front of the x, I don't see a sign, so that means it's a positive. And to move a positive x to the opposite side, I have to subtract. Alrighty, x minus x is 0. Y gets to come down. And on this side, I just get 110 minus x. Okay, there's nothing in front of the y, so I don't have to do anything with that. I'm going to cover my slope, and it tells me to start at y is 110. So here's y is 110. And my slope, remember, there's nothing in front of it. That doesn't mean there's nothing there. It's just a 1 over 1. I'm going to put the minus on the top and keep the 1 positive on the bottom. So I'm going to go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Okay. Alrighty, I'm going to draw my line. And what type of line is this going to be? Well, this is also included because this is an equal to. So it's this thing right here. Alrighty, and I'm just going to name it. So I'm going to have x plus y less than or equal to 110. And now I have to shade. So it says y is less than 110. Less than means lower, so it's all this stuff down here. Okay, so where is my solution set? It's where both of these things are in the same spot. So that little area right there. And it says determine one possible solution. So it's one possible solution in this area. Okay, I'm going to stick right in the middle. I'm going right here at 30, 70. So I said 30 for x, 70 for y. So my solution, my x is students. So this would be 30 student tickets and 70 adult tickets. Okay, you can move right into your delta, and I hope you have a wonderful day.